Albert, I just because I don't want to waste too much of your time with the NBA talk, but is there anything equivalent? No, seriously, anything equivalent in our world
to Luka?
Yeah, and for Anthony Davis, nobody's heard about it. Where you and everyone else gets scooped by two general managers talking about two generationally brilliant players in their prime for each other. You know what I mean? Anything like that?
Anything that I can remember where a guy was suddenly traded out of nowhere. I mean, the biggest surprise trades I can remember where there was no lead up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like the Jimmy Graham trade. Do you remember that one? That kind of came out of nowhere a little bit, like where he was traded from the Saints to the Seahawks on the first day of free agency. I mean, like if you're looking for like an equivalent, like as far as names now, I mean, I think it'd have to be a quarterback, right? Like I don't think you
one of them would have to be a quarterback. The one that Riddick came up with in hour one because we were spitballing was if the Chargers were done with Herbert.
I was gonna say Justin Herbert.
Right.
I think that was perfect. Yeah, because he's young, he hasn't won yet, but it's like he's got the potential to get there. I think that's a good one.
The only thing that's different is nobody's talking about his conditioning or his dedication, and Lucas is getting called into question. But for I don't know, it would have to be somebody. Because Anthony Davis doesn't play the same position, but he's brilliant. So it would have to be a defensive player who's like 6 years older. I don't know who that
like TJ Watt.
Maybe that's it.
TJ Watt's like 31, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so TJ Watt maybe is the one. So if you traded Justin Herbert for TJ Watt in a first round pick, then right would be the equivalent
in the middle middle of a season with nobody knowing.
Right. And it's a little harder in football to take that piece out of the puzzle. Because then what do you do?
What do you do?
Unbelievable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Albert Breer here on the Rich Eisen Show. We're back on the Infinity Sports Network on the Roku channel live stream all together. I'm sitting at the Rich Eisen Show desk, furnished by Grainger with supplies and solutions for every industry. Grainger has the right product for you. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Albert, kind enough to zoom in from Radio Row there in New Orleans, Louisiana. You're already at the Super Bowl, Albert. Huh? How's it going there?
Yeah, and it's been way too long since this city has had it. I think you'd agree with me on this. It's obscene that we went 12 years without a Super Bowl in New Orleans. I know there are different masters to serve with new stadiums in places like, in places like Minnesota, in Atlanta, but there's no better event city. I think you agree with me on this. There's no better event city in America than New Orleans, and I sure hope it's not another 12 years before it's here again. It's taken me less than 24 hours to feel that, like where this city is just perfect for events like this.
Yeah, and there's other towns like Los Angeles now in the mix, Vegas in the mix, and and I bring up Los Angeles for a reason because the Super Bowl here in L.A. That went down between the Rams and the Bengals, the Monday of Super Bowl week was when I believe the agent of Kyler Murray put something out that made it seem like Kyler Murray wants out of Arizona, and it created a huge stink. And we saw, Murray remove all Arizona Cardinals stuff from his Instagram and things of that nature. And here we are on the outset of this Super Bowl week, and Myles Garrett saying he wants out of Cleveland. What's this one about, Albert?
Yeah, I mean, my sense would be that, like that this has been communicated to them. And like the Browns, don't have a real appetite for trading Myles Garrett right now. And so I think part of the reason you go public, if you're Myles, is because, maybe you were met with some level of resistance there where the team doesn't want to move on from you for obvious reasons. He's a great player. And they've been a contender relatively recently. And I think that they believe that they can get there again pretty quickly if they can fix their quarterback issue. And so, I think, what this does now is the Browns don't shop him, but, the phone calls are going to come in. And there are very few teams in the league that couldn't use Myles Garrett as part of their equation. Now, of course, teams that are closer to contending for a Super Bowl championship would probably be the more serious ones. And it'd probably be easier to do a deal with teams like that. Again, like the Browns' stance on this is nothing's changed. We still don't plan on trading him. We still plan on him being here and retiring here and all the rest of it. But we know how these things go too, Rich. We've had teams say that they aren't trading a guy in the past, and things can devolve quickly or change quickly. And I certainly think it's going to be an interesting week for Andrew Berry as calls start to come in on Myles.
Well, I mean, I mentioned before you joined that the last time we saw an AFC North superstar say I want out, the Ravens gave Lamar the contract he was looking for. Is this a money thing, do you think? I understand he put out on his social media it's a Super Bowl thing, but could it be fixed by a long-term deal for a 29-year-old, Albert?
Maybe. I mean, I think it'd be more. So yes, I think that could be part of it. Like, I think the other part of it though has to be some sort of plan for getting into Super Bowl contention soon. Myles, I believe this will be year number 9 for him coming
Correct.
up. I think I have the math there right.
Yes.
And he's turning 30 soon. And so I think he's at the stage of his career where a guy starts to feel his football mortality too. And, I think Myles is a pretty conscientious guy who understands his legacy is going to be affected by, what teams he's on over the course of his career. And, I think it's at the point now where it's like, I can't go through another 2 or 3 year retool. I can't wait for you to get the quarterback position right. I want to win right now. And so, I think money could help solve it. Sure. Money always helps, but I think a part of it has to be like, here's our plan to come out of the woods of last year and do it fast and get you in a position to play in a Super Bowl soon. And, I think all of this, of course, is complicated by the contract they're still on the hook for with Deshaun Watson. And, obviously the conference that they play in. It's not going to be easy you can't microwave your quarterback situation when you're looking at like Joe Burrow and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and of course Patrick Mahomes on the verge of his 4th championship. It's really hard to microwave your situation and microwave your quarterback situation into a spot where, okay, now we're ready to contend. So it's a challenging situation. And I do think finding a solution to the quarterback position and finding a way to convince Myles Garrett that you are going to be, in position to contend at the highest level, not just for a playoff spot, but at the highest level in 2025 would have to be part of the solution. And look, maybe it's taking a swing at somebody like Matthew Stafford. I don't know, but they have to put something in front of them.
Well, I mean, it's tough to say, hey, look, the Washington Commanders drafted a quarterback 2nd overall, and look what happened within 1 year when Myles Garrett could potentially just join the team that just had Jaden Daniels do it for them with Dan Quinn as the coach, right? Like if he wants to force his way to an NFC spot, which is what may be the one thing that the Browns, if they finally do countenance this concept of trading him, they would want to trade him to another conference. Is there a team, best you would know in first blush with this now being out there, that Myles Garrett might prefer to go to that's close to winning a Super Bowl that you could think of, Albert?
Well, I mean, Texas is home for him, right? So, I mean, I think you have to consider, like, would the Cowboys do something and take a big swing? It hasn't been their history of late. The Texans, like the Texans have shown they're sort of all in for right now while C.J. Stroud's on his rookie contract. They just went and got Danielle Hunter. Is there, a world where maybe you flip Danielle Hunter and a pick or 2 picks or whatever it might be to Cleveland and bring Myles Garrett home, and now he's playing opposite Will Anderson. And then I think looking at the teams in the NFC, it's easy to look at like the Rams as a team where it's like they've got a lot of great talent on their defensive line. Would having somebody like Myles Garrett put them over the top? We know Les Snead's not averse to taking big swings, and they've got the resources to do it again. And then, like you said, like, your Washingtons, your Philadelphias, I think those teams would be in the mix. Like Washington, again, that window I talked about with Houston, like that's where Washington is right now with Jaden Daniels too. And so they should have the opportunity to take a swing or two like this. And that could be an opportunity for Myles Garrett to play in a scheme that's going to allow him to compile numbers and compete for championships. The Eagles have swung and missed a bunch on edge players. And we've seen like Howie in the past go in and say, okay, I've taken my swings. Now I'm going to take a big swing to fix it. It's like what he did with A.J. Brown at receiver. You could see that and be like, let's go get Myles Garrett and put him alongside Jalen Carter for the next 3 or 4 years, and we'll have the most dominant defensive front in football. And obviously, they've got more important business to deal with over the next few days. But the Eagles are one of the teams that would be in that mix. So I think my larger point here, Detroit. I mean, Detroit would be another one. Can you imagine him opposite Aiden Hutchinson? And maybe it's like Detroit's swing with all the coaches that they left, like just show, hey, we're still here. I don't know, a player like Myles Garrett doesn't come available very often, and I probably just rattled off 9 teams.
Sure.
And I could probably come up with 9 more. It's just,
sure.
I mean, you could talk yourself into so many teams wanting to do this.
Yeah. A couple of minutes left with Albert Breer from the Super Bowl. He's on Radio Row in New Orleans. You mentioned Stafford as the Browns maybe take a hack at him to try and keep Myles Garrett happy and try and win now with what the roster they have there and supplement it with what they could potentially supplement. Is Stafford available? I mean, how do you see this playing out with the Rams?
Not right,
Robert?
Not right now. And I think a lot of people in LA want Stafford back next year, but there is some water under the bridge from the negotiation last year. And for people who don't know, they gave him a $5 million raise, pushed money from this year and next year into 2024 to give him a $5 million raise. They guaranteed all his money for 2024, and then they removed the guarantees for 2025 with the agreement that they were going to revisit everything after the season. He played well this year. It's time to revisit it again. I think it's unpredictable where this one goes. Now, I think if we're up to the coaches who've got to work day to day to build a contender, I think they find a way to get this done. But what we don't know is what Stafford might want. And does Stafford want a renewed commitment that he's going to be able to finish his career in Los Angeles? If that's the case, how far are the Rams willing to go to give him that commitment? There are a lot of moving parts here. And, I do think that there was some strain left over from the negotiation of the last offseason that really lasted the balance of the offseason and got done at the very end. So, a lot of love for Matthew Stafford still in that building, but there's a lot to be worked out, and there was a lot left on the table when they got done with the negotiation last year. And certainly if they were to decide to move on, pretty good offers. Like what a Pittsburgh? Would it make sense for somebody like Pittsburgh? Like you can see a lot of teams where it would make sense to bring in Matthew Stafford as an answer for the next couple of years, especially with a really shaky quarterback class in this year's draft. And, then who knows, like, does LA turn around and sign Sam Darnold? There could be some interesting moving pieces out there in the quarterback market that a lot of people aren't talking about yet.
Yeah, I got JJ McCarthy on tomorrow, Albert. And do you think that the Vikings move on to him no matter what, or they're going to make a play for Sam? Like that kind of is a piece for the free agency stuff here.
I don't think it's no matter what thing sort of situation yet. I would say this though, he's ahead of schedule. He's able to do just about everything now. He's second surgery was really just a cleanup, and he's going to have a full off season. So he's not going to be limited by anything this off season. Now there's still a little bit of a leap of faith in that he did lose, 4 or 5 months of development time, but he was very locked in to every part of the football operation that he could be a part of. Like when they went out to practice, he would do his rehab work, and then all the stuff that was in the building he was a part of. So he was in the quarterback room pretty much all the way through. He started traveling again with the team with their trip to Los Angeles in October, so he could be around the team for the game day operation, for the trip, he could be on the headset during the game. So he's doing everything he possibly can to put himself in position to play in 2025 and start in 2025. And here's the other thing. When he got hurt in August, like he'd played well enough early on in camp to at least complicate the plan to start Sam Darnold and just redshirt him and sort of, put that decision off for another year. He'd played well enough to make it a real discussion point. Like, is there going to come a point where now obviously the injury eliminated the possibility of that, but I'd say JJ's checked a lot of boxes, and I can say they'd be comfortable with him as their starting quarterback in 2025. That does not mean they're kicking Sam Darnold out the door, but I do think it gives them a lot more flexibility in the way they handle Sam's situation over the next couple of months.
I would be remiss before I sent you back into the Big Easy. Super Bowl 59 comes down to what, Albert? What do you think?
I think it comes down to the Chiefs' ability to make Jalen Hurts beat them down the field. I think if the Chiefs can do that, then the Chiefs can play the game on their terms. I think another key player, and this is somebody that not a lot of people are going to bring up this week. I think Joe Thuney is one of the biggest keys to this game, because I talked to a bunch of executives and coaches over the last week last 3 or 4 days actually, that said to me that if they were Andy Reid, they would move Joe Thuney back inside the guard this week and go with DJ Humphries or one of the young guys at left tackle because of what the Eagles bring with their defensive tackles with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. So there are a lot of like cool little elements that go into this one. I think, one is obviously the ability for the Chiefs to win up front against the Eagles offensive line, to stack the box and make Jalen Hurts beat them downfield. And then I think the other one is how are the Chiefs going to be able to manage their offensive line issue, and where does Joe Thuney play? Those would be 2 things in particular I think I would take a close look at. But I will say this, Rich, last year after the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, I said that I was out of the business of picking against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And then I went back on my word without even thinking about it in the AFC Championship game. So I'm not doing that again. I will not be caught doing that again.
Yeah, that's why I chose a three-peat on the Tuesday after Labor Day, man. I'm with you. I'm with you. Hey, Albert, appreciate the time. Oh, by the way, not since Dan Gilbert hiring John Beilein away from Michigan to coach the Cavs have I seen a next-level maneuver by a Big Ten rival, because Gilbert's a Michigan Stater. Like, he didn't do that on purpose. Having Tom Brady hire Chip Kelly away from Ohio State. It's like a
Don't forget about John Spytek. John Spytek's there, too.
That's right. It's a Dan Gilbert-like move right there out of Brady.
Yeah.
You strengthen your team, or you think you are, and weaken the rival. I think it's next-level maneuvering by Tom Brady. What do you think?
Cost them a lot of money to do it, too. Cost them a lot of money to do it.
We're
Ohio State. We're $6 million a year. $6 million.
So you're going to ask Caleb Downs for something back to make it up? Does Caleb Downs give any money back? I don't think
we need to hold a bake sale like some other schools. We're Ohio State. We'll be okay.
A bake sale.
You're the best.
I didn't notice that. Was there a bake sale in Ann Arbor? I had no idea.
I don't know.
They had to bake some cookies to get their quarterback? I had no idea. Okay. Albert, I'll see you.
I mean, I don't know. We also haven't had to bring in any non-alums to contribute, but that's another conversation for another day.
Okay. Good to see you. I'll see you very shortly. We'll see you soon, Albert. Thanks for the time, bud.
Thanks, Rich.
You got it. That's senior reporter for the Sports Illustrated MMQB, the one and only Albert Breer. There he goes. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.